You're watching live coverage from RJD News. Thank you for contributions from viewers like you.
At least 5 were killed this afternoon, as was the shooter. Also, 5 police officers who responded were hurt. It happened at a business that manufactures industrial equipment in Aurora, Illinois. Another big story we are following tonight. President Trump declared a national emergency today to help build a wall on the southern border.
We've got breaking news out of Venezuela. The Trump administration's full-court press for freedom in Venezuela appears to have socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro on the ropes.
Good morning, Buffalo and the world. I'm Rashid, Rashid State Channel, and this is RJD News this morning. Welcome to our episode. We have a lot going on. There has been an attack at a workplace. There's been a workplace shooting. There's been hundreds of shootings, massive shootings in the country last year. And also, Nicolas Maduro might be kicked out of office of his presidency in Venezuela. And also, President Trump declared a national emergency to build his wall yesterday morning. And we are going to begin with a lot. This is RJD News, and it begins right now. Good morning, I'm Rashid James. We begin with breaking news in Aurora, Illinois, just around the corner from Chicago. There was a workplace shooting where 5 were killed and 5 were injured. The 5 that were killed included the person who was the killer. He was killed by police in his actions. Here is the story.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Glore, and this is our Western edition. We're going to begin here tonight with the latest on a workplace shooting just outside Chicago. At least 5 were killed this afternoon, as was the shooter. Also, 5 police officers who responded were hurt. It happened at a business that manufactures industrial equipment in Aurora, Illinois. And Adriana Diaz is at the scene. Adriana?
Jeff, the shooter was 45-year-old Gary Martin, and he worked at the facility, but police haven't released a motive. CBS News has learned that during the confrontation, the SWAT team sent in a robot that showed the shooter dead. He'd been shot by police.
Aurora is requesting as many ambulances as possible for an active shooter with many injuries.
The shooter opened fire at the Henry Pratt Manufacturing Company, about 40 miles west of Chicago, this afternoon.
A total of 5 officers were struck by gunfire. The other officers on the scene located gunshot victims inside the building. At this time, we have confirmed that 5 victims are deceased.
Margie Saldana lives nearby.
We saw a squad car coming really, really fast, and I told my husband, let's get inside because something was happening.
What I saw was the guy running down the aisle and with a pistol and with a laser on it.
John Probst told a local Chicago station that he works in the facility. He says the shooter did too.
One of the guys was up in the office and he said that the person was shooting and he come running down and he was bleeding pretty bad, and the next thing you know, he went walking back in front and we heard more shots.
At least 5 area police departments responded. The 911 calls started flooding in at 1:24, and police were here at the scene just 4 minutes later at 1:28. 2 of the initial officers to arrive were shot. Jeff, this is the 39th mass shooting of 2019.
All right, Adriana, thank you very much, and we will keep following developments outside Chicago, of course, here all evening long. Adriana Diaz, thanks.
It is crazy how it's been 39 mass shootings this year. It hasn't even gone past 2 months yet, but crazy. So we're gonna go to a different story. President Trump has declared a national emergency for his wall to be built. He declared this yesterday morning during a meeting in the Rose Garden, and we're going to check out what he said. Here is the story.
Another big story we are following tonight. President Trump declared a national emergency today to help build a wall on the southern border. Opponents are already working on lawsuits to stop it. Here's Major Garrett.
I didn't need to do this.
The national emergency declaration means the president will try to sidestep Congress and divert billions from other federal programs to accelerate border wall construction.
We're going to do it one way or the other. We have to do it. We have an invasion of drugs and criminals coming into our country.
The administration said it intends to spend roughly $8 billion to build 234 miles of steel wall. Congress approved a fraction of that, just under $1.4 billion for border barriers.
I got $1.4 billion, but I'm not happy with it.
The rest comes from the Treasury Department and the Pentagon. $2.5 billion that would have been used to fight drug trafficking, and $3.6 billion for military construction projects. The administration refused to say which projects will now lose money.
I won't go into details, but didn't sound too important to me.
Fortunately, Donald Trump is not the last word. The courts will be the last word.
California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is already preparing a lawsuit challenging Mr. Trump's emergency declaration. Other states and advocacy groups may also sue. The democratically led House is likely to move to block the president.
Sadly, we'll be sued, and sadly, it'll go through a process, and happily we'll win, I think.
Building the wall and having Mexico pay for it was one of candidate Trump's signature campaign promises.
And Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Don't worry about it.
With the 2020 race already underway, the president acknowledged the political realities.
For the election, I've already done a lot of wall for the election, 2020.
Mr. Trump also brushed aside fears from some Republicans that he was setting a precedent for future Democratic presidents to pursue policies the GOP strongly opposes.
The courts will determine that. Look, I expect to be sued. I shouldn't be sued.
The president did not mention this today, but his emergency declaration also gives the Pentagon the power to call up and deploy the reserves to assist in border wall or border barrier construction. Now, no such order has been given, but the authority, pending legal challenges, now exists. Jeff?
Major, thanks very much.
We've got breaking news out of Venezuela. The Trump administration's full court press for freedom in Venezuela appears to have socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro on the ropes. National Security Advisor John Bolton revealing to Jillian Turner in a Fox News exclusive that for the first time, senior military figures close to Maduro now negotiating, deserting Nicolas Maduro and flat out leaving the country, as the Trump administration today slapped brand new sanctions on Maduro's inner circle, including officials in charge of running his intelligence and security services. Let's bring in John Caulfield, a former senior American diplomat who had been stationed in Venezuela. John, great to see you. First, your reaction to what what's your reaction to what Mr. Bolton said?
Well, this is a war of nerves, and the opposition, the United States and countries that see the situation the way we do, are trying to raise the ante with the Venezuelan military to get them to crack, to abandon Maduro. And the way we're doing this is saying, if you persist, not only your future is at risk, but your money's at risk. And we hope that the Venezuelan military, the senior officers, will make a wise choice and decide to transition to a new civilian government and to choose to leave their current positions.
What's your reaction to today's new sanctions on Maduro's inner circle? Your reaction to that?
Well, going for the money really makes sense because that's what motivates these people. And if they fear that not only is their liberty at risk, but their money's at risk and the welfare of their families, they may be more willing to make a deal. That's certainly what we're hoping for.
You know, crucial deadlines now fast approaching in Venezuela. First is a February 23rd deadline where interim President Juan Guaido, he's told Nicolas Maduro, listen, you've got to let food aid and other humanitarian aid into the country or I will move everything on earth to do that. And also April 28th, all bets are off with Nicolas Maduro. That's when all of the U.S. sanctions fully kick in. What do you think will happen there?
Well, if the money dries up, and certainly for the most part the money will dry up by the end of April, the country can no longer feed itself. The country cannot buy equipment necessary to keep the oil industry running. And so this is going to impose a crisis. It's only going to get tougher from here on in. And so Maduro has to assess whether he's going to have the loyalty of the military in the country as he tries to navigate this crisis. But there's no way out that I can see. There's no source of money. There's no source of food that's going to bail him out.
Yeah, lower rank and file in the military now starving, we're hearing as well, Mr. Caulfield. And the Pentagon is positioning 200 tons of humanitarian and food aid at the border with Colombia. John Caulfield, we love your perspective and we appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Breaking news, the two men in this video have been arrested in the case of Jussie Smollett being assaulted in the streets. Here is the story.
Police say the two men in this surveillance photo have been arrested as suspects in connection with the alleged attack on Jussie Smollett. Investigators searched the home of Olabinjo and Abimbola Osundario, who authorities have not named, seizing items including a black ski mask, bottles of bleach, and an Empire script, the show Smollett stars in, according to a police document. Before the brothers were taken into custody, Smollett identified the men in this photo as his attackers on ABC.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's them.
After Smollett told investigators the attackers used racist and homophobic slurs, police sources tell NBC News the suspects are tied to the show Empire, one working as an extra. Smollett follows the brothers' shared Instagram account, with some local media reporting Smollett conspired with the brothers to drum up publicity because his character was being written off Empire. Fox says the idea is patently ridiculous. Police say they found no video evidence of the attack, but say reports of a hoax are unconfirmed.
You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
Tonight, the search for truth in a story so many are questioning.
To move forward, Chicago police will now have to decide whether to pursue criminal charges against the brothers or release them. Investigators will also need to speak to Smollett to figure out what charges, if any, are warranted.